Salut YouTube! Welcome to the Romanian Academy. As much as I would like to sound funny, bring jokes and banter into today's topic, unfortunately it's not. So I would really recommend you bring your hammer and your scythe and do some real work. This is a time where things get more serious and, quite frankly, more specific. So you might lie down on a beach in Benidorm or drink a cuppa in 14 degrees. Today, you may want to start thinking about ways and systems to get your Romanian productivity up and running. All jokes aside, I will make as clear as possible the main things to focus on within this conjugation. But if you want to master it, you may want to spend about 15-20 hours learning endings, roots, patterns, exploring exercises and use cases, because there is only this much I can do to help you. As always, if you feel like you know some of these topics already, you have time markers down in the description to jump ahead to the desired topic. Alright, ready? I know you're not, but let's jump in anyways. Okay, so verbe cu conjugarea întâi, ending in A, extensive edition. Why? Because I'm going to explore all the possibilities of verbs ending in A, but bear in mind there are some caveats and also some principles that I will introduce in a second. Firstly, you have to be aware that there are two main conjugations within the conjugation A, and that we'll see in a second is conjugations 1 and 3 in a table underneath, just to have a little idea. It is this, so 1 and 3, the ones ending in EZ and the ones with no ending in the yo form. Coming back to this caveat, all the others that we will be talking about today are subcategories, exceptions or irregularities that are worth exploring when one advances in the language. What I mean here is not that I will not talk about the others at all. I will talk about them briefly and introduce them to you, but I will not go into detail or specify why they are like that, because obviously irregularities, as it is with any other language, they are irregular, right? Most of the times you'll hear they are irregular. So it's better just to learn them and to memorize. Then the second caveat, there are many phonetic changes. Alright, phonetic changes, that means sounds. There will be a lot of sound changes, vowels specifically, but also consonants. So there will be quite a few of those that will happen later on, and that is mainly because you will add, right? You have a word, and at the end of it, you'll add some sort of suffix. Yeah, and when you add this suffix, some of the letters in this word at the end here, just to keep a good, I call it a good sound, but well, what is a normal sound in Romanian? To keep that shape or to keep a sound that is familiar in Romanian. I will not go in detail with phonetics, because that is a huge topic that hopefully one day we will talk about. So I will not talk in detail why this happened. I might introduce in a further video some details about the main phonetic changes, but at the moment phonetics are not a priority. Right, now, principles. The three things you have to bear in mind in today's class. Let's change this. So number one, you need to know what the root of the verb is. Okay, so this is an important word that you will like to remember, the root. Secondly, the two main conjugations are the short form. I will probably use this a lot, so if you hear in any other video short form and long form, well, short form is when there is no ending in the yo form. Okay, so basically it's just the root. And the long form is the EZ ending, again, for the yo form. So the root gets an EZ. All right. All that said, I think we can go on to the third one. You need to look for and learn the patterns. This is a big one. This is, I would say, why over half, I would say the majority of people who learn Romanian don't focus on this one. And that's how they feel, they get to the point where they feel it's extremely difficult. Because if you start looking for and learning the patterns, it's like a puzzle, you know, you just put words, endings together. What I'm trying to draw here is like patterns, connections, right? Like it's gonna connect. Many of those will connect. And by those, I mean the endings. And you will see that in a second. I'm going to leave this exclamation mark here because I think it's quite important. This doesn't not look like an exclamation mark, but let's do it like that. Cool. So, root, the two ways they can conjugate. Yeah. And patterns. Let's highlight this as well. Right, so coming back to the first caveat, I said there are two main conjugations. Main conjugation, that by main conjugation, obviously, I mean not the subcategories, exceptions, or irregularities. There are two things that I want you to focus on. This is what I said in the intro as well. You brought your imaginary scythe and hammer down to this lecture, and you will use them in learning 1 and 3 mainly. The others are quite, I would say, subcategories of 1 and 3. So let's leave this here. So 1 and 3 are the main ones. The others, I will get into them very briefly. A very brief talk about what the main groups of, like what those main groups are. So you might have seen the no ending at the beginning, yeah. So a invita, a pleca, învăța, asculta. And then a variation of this first one is the ones ending in ia, and this very special one ending in ua, a continua, that respect, that use a different kind of conjugation, but it's a variation of this one. Yeah, so if you know number 1, you should be able to use that type of conjugation to do number 2 as well. And number 3, a lucra, a vira, a picta, a cerceta. Yeah, those are verbs that end in ez, ezi, eaze. And then they reset starting from the noi form back to the root and the normal way to conjugate. So 4 is basically, again, an extension of 3. It's basically the same thing. It uses the EZ ending, but there will be some changes due to phonetics. This one, for example, you see it's IA. This one has GHE, GE. And this one has a strong C that will become a CHE, so a ke. However, it should not be very difficult to get the 4 from 3. Then you have 5 and 6, which are pure exceptions, I would say. When you have verbs ending in those kind of sounds, fla, bla, pla, rla, kra, tra, yeah, those are called interjection. Not all of them are interjections, but they are interjection-like ending. Sufla, urla, intra, umbla, afla, contempla, consacra. So when you have that, they will get a U. If you're not new to Romanian, you might have seen U's in other conjugations as well, not just in the A conjugation. Well, for this one specifically, for the 8 conjugation, you get this U when the ending looks like an interjection. And then the boss level verb, a lua. It's just one. We'll talk about it entirely later. Now, we said there are three principles. What are the roots? For people who are completely new to Romanian or to Latin languages, roots of the verbs are the verbs in infinitive. Yeah, look left, look right. They're the exact verbs in infinitive without the A and without the ending that determines the conjugation. So without A. Alright? Look right here. So invit is the root of invita, plec is the root of pleca, învăț is the root of învăța, ascult, and so on. Întârzi, yeah, not întârzi, întârz without the I. So bear this in mind. Here that I stays. You'll see why it's important later on. A lucra, a vira, a picta, a cerceta is quite straightforward. Here, as I said, the I stays in the root, as well as in number 2. Nothing really crazy. The A goes away. Here, here this is not accurate, unfortunately. This should be an E as well. So the ge stays. Sorry for that. I don't know if I can, maybe I can change it quickly. Yeah, so the E stays. Yeah. Cool. Then 5, yeah, as you see, all the A's go away. So that's the root, the verb in infinitive without the conjugation letter, so the ending. So yeah, here careful there, you will keep this I or U. Yeah, if the verb is I think that's quite clear. Let's move on. So main conjugations. Okay, this one's, I don't know what's happening here with whiteboard. Here we go. Main conjugations. The first 2. So we have a list here of the ones with no ending and a list here of the ones with AZ ending. Let's take a random one. For example, I don't know. Asculta. Yeah, so it's from this group here. Yeah, so you need to know the root. You remove the, let's write it. Yeah, let's put it here. So asculta. Yeah, this is the infinitive. You remove the A, and also you remove this A. So you get ascult. There's no ending here, so eu ascult. Then for 2, you keep the root, yeah. Then you put an I, and this changes to ts, as tu asculți. You go back to the root, el, ea, ascultă. Boom. Then you go to noi, the root plus ascultăm. Very cool. And root again plus ați, ascultați. And there you have almost all the conjugation. In plural, I don't think you can see this. In plural, you have for third person, for ei, ele, for they, yeah, they listen, ei ascultă. The same as the el, ea. I put in blue all those forms that go straight to the they form. So for this specific one, you see that the they takes the el, ea form. This is valid for all the first conjugation, excluding the bad boy a lua. That's in blue. Cool. So that is how to do the main conjugation of the first main conjugation, I would say, of verbs ending in A, the no ending. Then let's take a random one from the EZ. Let's take, for example, I don't know what's happening here, but this is not right. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, this is actually just the same list, which is not good. Those are verbs ending in EZ. A cerceta, a cina, a cita, a dansa, a deranja, a dezarma, a dicta. There are quite a lot. Examina, a exagera, a fuma, a îmbrățișa, and so on. As I said, let's take a random one from here. For example, visa, to dream. Same like before, you remove the last one, the last letter, so the conjugation and also the infinitive, and that's how you start saying I dream. Yo, visez, right? Tu visez. El, ea visează. Yeah. And then I said earlier that the verb resets in the noi form. So this is what happens here. Yeah, if you see carefully that the EZ has this EZ form for singular, and then obviously for plural because for plural third person, because the ye ele form is taken from el ya. So you're left with those two, the noi and voi, that is completely reset. By that I mean you don't use the EZ, you're reset back to the infinitive. So if you have el, ea, visează, right? All this EZ goes away, and for we dream, you have visăm. Visați and visează. I think that's quite clear. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment section or on Calendly. I hope I made you understand this, but obviously you have to really put the work in to notice and to memorize and to practice and to bring it into your active vocabulary. And by that I mean putting those verbs, to identify them, to know when you have to use them and which ones are the ones that go into those two categories. Right, the other things that I want to bring for you to be aware, there are many phonetic changes. Let me just show you quickly. So you have the IA and something very similar when you have great phonetic changes for EZ. So for the IA ending, you have two options. You have this one with întârzia and furia and some other verbs down here. Propria, împrăștia, învia, mânia, peria, a speria, a zgâria. Or the second one, which is not adding an I to the end, it's just having no ending, a încuia, a tăia, which is very similar to a descuia, descheia, a încheia, a înmuia, mângâia, and I think I repeated here, a tăia. And then finally the UA, which is only continua, and this is very similar to the main conjugation, this one with no ending. Oopsie. However, you have to add an I at the end of yo and two forms. I put here in red the reason they are different. You can see that in the first one you have a consonant before the IA, and here you have a vowel before the IA. You can follow this pattern in those examples. The third person singular is the same as third person plural. However, the difference is you add an I to those in the eu and tu form. So întârzi and furii, eu înfurii, tu înfurii, el înfurie, el întârzie, noi întârziem, voi întârziați. So, also another difference is that you get rid of the from the main conjugation. You put here in, for example, a asculta, you have ascultă, here you have întârzie. Here you have întârziem, not întârziăm. And then a very similar conversation is here when you have a lot of phonetic changes because of those groups of letters. Fotografia, this is an IA verb, and there are quite a lot. Here, închiria, iniția, copia, beneficia. Those do not follow this rule from înfuria, întârzia, încuia, a tăia. So, again, you have to put in some work and know which kinds of words, verbs follow this pattern. You have some examples here. And they are a bit different because you have as. Here you don't have an E as you do here, iază. You have just I, A, Z, A. M. Yeah, M, that's quite different. Because here you used to have and what else? And then, and the other two, a supraveghea. Here you have a few that have already these groups. Che, ge. Yeah. So what happens is that you have EA at the end, so you add the Z. You remove the A, get the root, you add the Z. That's how this behaves. And then supraveghem, not Liați, not îți. Yeah? Have a look at those. I'm not gonna get into much detail because you'll need to learn phonetics first. And then parca, parchez. This is very interesting because actually you don't have an H like you used to do in this one, but you need to add one to most of them. Parchez, parchezi, parchează, not parchez. Right? I mean, it sounds very different. You have to keep this k sound in parca, and that the only way you can do it in Romanian is by adding an H. Parchez, and you have k. Same with dialoga, bloca, marca, masca, șoca, interoga, onologa, so on. As I said, I'm not going to go into detail with those ones. I'm just going to cover them briefly. And then the last two, I told you about those ones that they have an interjection-like ending. Fla, rla, intra, umbla. Let's take one of them just as an example. Yeah, let's take a short one, a urla. A urla means to scream. And then you have urlu. Yeah, root plus u, as you see here. Urlu, urli. Yeah, urla. Urlăm, urlați, I mean, it is the same as the no conjugation main one, and urlă. So the only difference really is this U. Almost no difference to the main conjugation, no ending. And the one and only, a lua. The only verb that you have the eu form and the ele form in conjugation A match. Iau and iau. So in a way you can think about this iau that is very similar to this, because it has they are the only ones that have u. And then you have an I for yay, and then an A that matches nothing. Unfortunately, there's no pattern about this. But you cannot say yeah, for example. Luam resets, yeah, if you remember, just to emphasize, this resets to the infinitive. So luam. Luam is actually the imperfect, but we're gonna talk about that later. Luați, and the yao, as I said, it's the same as the yo form. Right. That's conjugation 1. I probably would assume that you might need to stop the video a few times. I also am aware that I use the words conjugation and endings probably a few times interchangeably. I am sorry if that confuses you, but basically conjugation means like the verb changing based on the singular, plural, person, or ending. So that would apply, conjugation or ending. You could say they are the same. A quick recap here. So don't forget the main two. Like if I would be a beginner, and if I would recommend this to a beginner, learn those two to begin with, and then go into the rest. And don't be scared about the phonetics. If you practice them, you will get them repeatedly into your system, and you will know which ones sound right and which ones don't. Then focus on those 3 principles: the root that we have seen, verb in infinitive without the ending, so the A in this situation, the 2 main conjugations, the short form with no ending and the long form with the EZ ending, and the patterns. By patterns, obviously, I mean what you can see here, that the third person singular is the same as the third person plural. The I is always the same. It doesn't matter if it's here or here. The is the same. It doesn't matter if it's here or here. The verb resets to the infinitive in plural. So as you saw with this ugly one, aloa, even if you have like the most irregular thing in singular, you will get the lu in plural. Also, something that probably some of you will get, you'll find a bit more tricky, but and so bear in mind that in yel, ya, and noi, and even in ye, yele, you have not a. The only place you have a is voi. Alright, so those are some patterns. If you see more, please write them in the comments. I hope this was helpful and you got something from it. Alright, thank you very much for being with me for this very, very intense topic. I know it's not the easiest to digest. I hope also you will be able to understand if you pause the video, go over the material a few times. I wish you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, comment if you have any other questions. Don't forget about the Calendly and the Discord. You have the links in the comment section below. And well, la revedere YouTube.